Hey there. In this lesson, we're focusing entirely on what needs to go into setting up your online platform so that you're ready for that big goal in this 90-day section. So you'll be adding what we're going to come up with on your list. Remember, everybody's list is going to be a little bit different. Some people have parts of this in place already, some have none in place. All of that's fine. You've got plenty of time to do it. You're going to be adding this to your 30, 60, 90-day plan in the next lesson, our final lesson in this module. I want you to remember that there are 3 essential components to your online platform. Let's look over those in just a second. Let me share my screen here, and we'll dive right on in. So, in setting your platform up, keep in mind that it is the interface between you and your studio and that engaged audience out there. Look at where it's positioned. It's between the compelling artwork and you and your engaged audience. So it needs to be in place in order to set that engaged audience up and begin to create those relationships that I talked about in the last lesson. So in order to do that, you're going to want to put into place these 3 key parts. You need to have a website that's going to showcase your artwork. You need to have an email service provider to comply with the legal requirements in almost every country I know of for sending bulk email. And you need to have 1 to 2 social media platforms for your social media hub. I would get started with just 1. So those 3 basic things are your online platform. And remember that what we're doing with this is pretty much a one-time deal. These are not ongoing habits. Yes, you're going to be uploading an image and you're going to be uploading content to your blog, but you're not going to have to set up a website every week. You're not going to be setting up an email service provider every week. So it's a one and done. But I do want it on your 30, 60, 90 plan because it's going to take time. And if you try to squeeze it in around everything else, it's going to lead to frustration. So I want you to block that time in for the tasks that you don't have yet, and we're going to put them on the 90-day plan. So the actual tasks under each one of these things is fairly short and sweet. We're going for the minimal viable options, the minimal viable platform. You can fill it out later, and there are always things that you can add to it. But I would really, really recommend keeping it stupidly simple because there's less to go wrong and there are less complications until you get really settled into the rhythm of running an online business. So to build that website, to create a website that's going to function for you, I would recommend one of 2 service providers. Websites have hosting. That's where a space that you rent that your website sits on, and they have an address called a domain name. And you can sign up for both of those at the same place. Although it's sometimes a better idea to register a domain name with a separate provider like GoDaddy or Namecheap. You're safe with FASO, but I think if you're going to go with Squarespace, you'll probably want to use somebody like GoDaddy to register the domain name. So set up either with FASO or Squarespace. FASO is artist run. Both of them are the hosting platforms. And I recommend them over WordPress unless you are already a tech geek, because there's a big learning curve on WordPress. FASO and Squarespace are managed, which means that they're behind a firewall. The chances of your getting hacked are very, very, very much slimmer. They maintain all of the back infrastructure. You don't have to do that maintenance. You just need to upload your content. So FASO, the difference between the 2 is that FASO is artist run. They have a terrific support system, and their templates are all designed specifically for artists just like us. Squarespace has more variety in their templates, but Squarespace is for everybody. And Squarespace's support is not tailored to the needs of artists. And it's just not as robust as FASO's support team. So if you're going with FASO, I would recommend their gold plan. That's going to include not only your website, it'll also include a beginning email provider if you want to use that, although you can use MailChimp as well. They also include a shopping cart. Both Squarespace and FASO have shopping carts available. It's just that FASO includes so much more. Then you want to select that domain name. I recommend that you use yourname.com. If you can't get your name, your first name and last name, then I would get your first name, last name, and art, or your first name, last name, and studio. Because we are, as artists, we are personal brands. Do not pick a domain name that does not have your name in it. Do not pick a domain name that's cute and funny, because it's not part of your brand. Your brand is you and your name. So get that really straightforwardly right off the bat. If you have an unusual name, I have an unusual name. It won't be a problem. People will still find you. In fact, it's a way for you to actually stand out a bit. So don't worry if your name is unusual. Don't worry if you think people can't spell it. Google is pretty good at pulling things up that are close to the thing that people typed in. They'll still find you, I promise. So get that domain name. Then as you set the site up, you're going to be able to enter that domain name into the info on the back end of either Squarespace or FASO, so that when somebody goes to your domain, up is going to come your website. They've got fantastic tutorials on those platforms, as well as support systems. So you can find all of the info that you need on the technical details of how you set that up right there on their site. The minimal viable number of pages that you need on a website are really slim. You'll see that I've got 4 there. You need an about page. You need a portfolio page. You need an email opt-in or sign up page, and you need a contact page. That's it. If you have more, fantastic. But this is all you need to get started. So that email sign up page needs to have just the email form, subscription form on it. Nothing else, no other extraneous stuff. And it's possible to do that on both Squarespace and on FASO. Lastly, you want to upload 4 to 6 images of your paintings to go onto your portfolio page. Those paintings the images need to be sized small enough so that they are not so big somebody's going to go rip them off and make prints of them, and not so big that they're going to slow down your website. So you can resize them in something like Canva or in something like the preview app. Sorry, brain blank right there. The preview app, if you're on a Mac, will allow you to resize the photograph. Make a copy of the original before you do that, so you don't lose that high-res original. But you want to resize it so that it's 800 pixels at the largest side. That's a good average size for websites. You don't need anything bigger than that. So you're going to keep those images sized in a reasonable way. So what to put on your about page? It needs to be an intro to you. How did you get into art? What is it you like to do? In essence, it's an expansion of your niche statement. What it is not your artist statement. So I want you to avoid putting that very formal gallery type artist statement onto your about page. That's not what it's there for. The About page is conversational, first person, and an intro to your audience, to you as a person and an artist. That's the kind of info you want to put on there. It doesn't need to be super long. It could be just a couple of paragraphs. So don't overthink it. Remember, you can go back and tweak it later. Just get that part done. Then the second part is going to be your email service provider. Again, FASO will work. They have that built in. It's fairly simple and simplistic. It does not have a whole lot of bells and whistles, but it will get the job done, and it's a great place to start. It's included in that gold plan, so it's not any extra money. You can also opt to use MailChimp. That's how I got started. It's free for the first 2,000 subscribers. And yes, MailChimp will integrate with both FASO and with Squarespace. There are clear directions on both of their sites on how to do that. So there's some benefits to MailChimp in that it's got a few more bells and whistles, even at the free version, than the FASO system does. And it looks a little bit spiffier at the same time. So then you won't have to switch over once you have too many subscribers. You can bump up to the paid plan, and you can add in some of those things like automations later on when you're ready. Don't think you want to go there yet? That's not a problem, because you can still move from FASO to MailChimp later. Once you have that account set up, then you want to go into the settings, and you're going to have to enter a return address for those bulk emails, because it has to come from somebody. It has to come from you. And I want you to strongly urge you to use your domain name in that. FASO sets up a business email. That's different from this bulk email. It's where you're going to receive emails from people who hit the contact button on the contact page. It's where you're going to receive business emails from people who are interested in your paintings. Use that address as the return address. Gmail is not professional. So use your domain name to create that business email address. Use that as your return email address. Do the same thing if you're on MailChimp. Set that up as your return address. I want everybody to know, because I've had questions about this in the past, you must use a physical address, a real one, in your bulk email settings. That gets sent out. And I want you to think about it. Everyone who goes, I don't want to send out an address. Would you want to buy something from someone who is not willing to share a physical address with you? And my guess is the answer is no. And besides that, the law requires it. That's to cut down on people who are fly-by-night, shady, grifters, and scam artists. So you have to use a physical address. If you don't want to use a home address, if you've got your studio at home, that's your business address. There are places where you can rent, in essence, an address. You can go to, here in the States, to the UPS office, and you can rent a box at the UPS office so that you will get a physical address that's not a PO box. But you have to have a physical address. There's no way around it, and it's just part of doing business. Remember, nobody wants to buy from somebody that they can't track down if they have a problem. So it's part of the whole thing of getting out of your comfort zone and starting your own business. Then you want to set up the opt-in form. That's the form that has the name and the email address box for people to enter to sign up for your bulk email list. You can have elaborate forms and you can have simple forms. Let's go with simple to begin with, because keeping it stupidly simple means there's less likelihood of making a mistake. So go with the simplest possible form. Then you're going to connect that to your website. It's easy peasy if you're setting this all up within FASO, because once you set that form up in MailChimp, if you've connected MailChimp to FASO, it auto-populates into the sections of your theme that have spaces for people to sign up for your email list. If you are using Squarespace, it's only slightly more complicated, but again, they've got clear directions on how to do that. So link the opt-in form to your website, connect it to your website. Then I highly recommend that you create a standalone page that is an invitation to join your email list. Don't put anything else on it, but the text that invites people to join your email list. Maybe one image of a painting and the form to sign up. There's a special term for that in marketing language. It's called a landing page or an opt-in page. And here's why it's so important. If it's a standalone page like that, there are no other things calling out, look at me, to your potential subscriber. They are more likely to sign up than they are at the bottom of the page on a regular blog post. So create that standalone page. And the easy way to do that is just to create a new page in either Squarespace or in FASO and embed your opt-in form on that. Again, there are directions on how to do that in FASO, and MailChimp has very clear directions on how to create that embed form as well. Then last but not least, set up that automatic thank you page. There's a page that's created automatically in FASO if you're using their email system. That is the thank you message that goes out, the automatic thank you email. It's pretty bland vanilla. So go in there and put it into your own words. Tell people how excited that you are, that they are coming along with you on your painting journey. But make it sound like you and not like some cookie cutter person in the back of the room at FASO or the back of the room in MailChimp. Personalize that. So if you're using MailChimp, you do that inside of MailChimp. If you're using FASO's system, you use the FASO backend to do that. That's it. Then you'll be ready to create a campaign. In other words, to create a bulk email that's going to go to your whole email list all at one time. We'll be talking about that more in Module 5. Then the last part of the platform is your social media hub. Remember I said 1 to 2? I would go with really just 1 to get started with. And again, choose the one where you feel most comfortable, where you're most likely to actually use it and do it. Set that up by creating the Facebook business page or the Instagram business profile. It needs to be a business one. Your personal profile is not a business page. Please don't use your personal profile as a business page. Set up a separate business page in Facebook or a business profile in Instagram. When you look at the workbook, there is a last final page in there. That last final page has the resources you need to set the platform's components up. So there is a how-to page for Facebook, how-to page for Instagram. Pick one and get started with that one. All that you need to put on there is you need your bio, and that's a really short statement on both of those platforms. You can use your niche statement. I create blank for people who love blank. That's it. Then you can add an image for the cover if you're on Facebook, and you can add a profile pic on either one of those platforms. If you're going to go ahead and use both platforms, I would keep the same profile pic on both and make that profile pic you, your face. because people need to get to know your face. They're buying from you as a person. Don't have a great photo? Get a selfie. Just grab your phone and take a really authentic, natural, normal photo of you. Don't overthink it. Just take a photo. Don't make it too goofy, and don't feel like you have to go put on your fancy pants clothes. Stand in front of your easel and take that photo. But get something up there. Once you have those 3 things in place, you'll have a website that showcases your work in that portfolio. Doesn't have to be a huge, big body of work. 4 pieces is plenty to get started with. Get your email provider chosen and set up, and get started with that one social media hub. You don't have to begin posting on your blog yet. You don't have to begin posting on social yet. If you already are, fantastic. But I just want you at this point to get those things set up. These are the basics that you'll need to do the next coming steps. And so this needs to be your first 30-day project, the first thing that goes on to your 90-day plan, which we're going to get into in just a few seconds as we move over to the final lesson in this module. If you look in the workbook, there is a list in there of all of the tasks that go on to creating that platform. Check off the ones you've already done and take the last remaining ones, and you're going to move them over in the next lesson to your 90-day plan. Let's hop on over there.